Hello folks, just to let you know, we also create strategic websites for clients worldwide. So if you or anyone you know needs a new or redesigned website, please visit us at creativethunder.co and get in touch. By doing so, you'll help us to continue to develop more videos like the one you're about to watch.
Hello folks, this is Thursday the 5th of May 2016 and this is what we get mid-morning. The result of the same things that I videoed yesterday evening, but already having been done, with the sky completely filled with aerosols and yet more planes continuing to fly. This has become the new normal. They don't need to try to hide anything from people anymore because people have taken it upon themselves to decide that this is the new normal and that there is therefore nothing to see. It's completely normal for blue skies to be washed out with white aerosols. Look at this. Again, unfortunately with video or with even still photography, you can't see what the naked eye can see. But it's a laughable joke to think that that is a contrail coming out of that particular plane. It's billowing out, not possibly a contrail, and it's actually extremely warm today. So any moisture in the air would have long ago burned up by this time in the morning, late morning. But look at how chock-a-block the whole sky is with aerosols. Look at all the lines, look at all the leftover lines that have since disbanded and dispersed. But look at how thick and billowing that chemtrail is, the spray aerosols coming out of the back of the airplane. Look at all the lines down here between the roofs. And this is the new normal, folks. The new normal is that we don't have blue skies. The new normal is that we have a scarred up, atrocious, disgusting mess for a sky, and this is what our children are inheriting. There's another airplane near the center of the screen there. Here's another one. Here are these lines, and here again is a closer in shot of those aerosols billowing out of that airplane in 4 distinct streams. You know, it's a joke that idiots think that this is contrails and moisture that hangs around all day, every day, no matter the season, no matter how warm, no matter how hot. And this is what passes as spring and summer. This is what people think is a beautiful blue sky day, but there's nothing beautiful and there's nothing blue about it. It's just a morass of white mess. White, highly toxic chemtrails scarring up our skies. There's never a hint of beauty anywhere. You can never look out, even casually, glance out the window without seeing a plane leaving chemtrails in the sky. And so this is our lot, folks, because nobody had the courage to care or to do much of anything about it. This is our lot. There will never be any blue skies again, apparently. They've told us that with SRM or solar radiation management, that the big dangerous downside to it is that once they started spraying, because it would eat up the ozone layer, they would never be able to stop. They just have to spray more and more. So it's only going to get worse. But this is our lot, folks. This is a summer's day. This is a spring day, which would be a deep blue, beautiful springtime, early summer day. But instead we just get this atrocious mess. Look at all those lines out there, folks. Don't know if you can see them clearly and distinctly in the video, but they're everywhere. And the whole sky is just awash in these aerosols that are just floating around, floating down to ground level to poison us, to poison the soil, to poison our food, to poison the water supply. And the powers that be don't really want many of us around. That's been made clear by all sorts of means, including the criminal vaccinations. And so if they can use this to get rid of a whole, 2/3 perhaps more of us, then that's a bonus to them. Here comes another plane there. And, again, what a mess, folks. This is what you've left as an inheritance to your children, who probably don't even know any better, who probably think the sky is meant to be scarred up like this because we didn't have the courage or the care to do anything about it in the early days. So our poor children think this is what a sky is meant to look like. They think that this is a blue sky. They think this is a sunny day. The poor things don't know what they're missing. And apparently no adults really care about this except for the tiny few who are, constantly trying to give voice to this and to share this understanding with the world, with the rest of the world who doesn't want to understand what's going on, who shuns the courageous few, who do acknowledge the truth of their own experience, who have a mind to remember what our skies used to look like, who have the courage to actually say something instead of living a Stepford wife existence. But such folk are few and far between in this world. Most people are just guilty through complicity and silence, silent complicity. And as people have known for a long time, silent complicity is all that's needed for the evil few to completely ruin our world, and so that's what we have. I, for one, can't even begin to fathom, life without blue skies and proper sunshine. Apparently it doesn't matter to most people because they're not outside. They're sitting inside, their kids are inside playing video games, violent video games, which the parents apparently also see no issue with whatsoever, being turned into robots. Parents are already apparently robots. All they do is sit in front of the TV. They go to the office, come home, sit in front of the TV, get their 6 3/4 hours of television viewing time worked in their evenings. And as a result, we have a bunch of brainwashed, barely being human beings who are scarcely being, and instead who just swallow everything that's thrown their way, swallow the lies, the inherent institutional lies that we've all been force-fed since we were babies, all the lies of the 20th century, all the lies of the First World War, the Bolshevik Revolution, if anybody even knows anything about it. To begin with, what they would know would be pure lies. And then we get the lies of the Second World War and everything since, the lies of 9/11, the lies of 7/7, all of the lies that are just spewed out of the media 24/7 worldwide now. Look at the aerosols billowing out of that airplane. It's a sick joke that people think that this is moisture coming from jet engines. I worked for Delta Airlines for 4 years in the second busiest airport in the world. I was outside, every day, all seasons, 52 weeks a year, no vacation time because I was a quote-unquote temporary employee for 4 years. And I know what aircraft look like. I know what they should look like flying through the sky. Those were the years between, 1985 and 1989. I then worked for American Airlines for 5 years as a management employee at the corporate headquarters and nearly another year as a management consultant in Miami. I know what jet aircraft is meant to look like. I know what commercial aircraft looks like. Having lived in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, again, the place of the then second busiest airport in the world, we never had skies anything like this. There were never these chemtrails being flown. We had blue skies, proper sun, and likewise all the other places that I've lived in the United States, near military, Air Force, Navy bases. Also lived in Annapolis, Maryland, near Washington, D.C., and all the both civilian, commercial, and military traffic inherent in that area. We didn't have this. This is sick. It's a real shame that people don't have the courage to acknowledge the truth of their own situation. And they've been so trained not to utter anything that might be considered a conspiracy theory, so brainwashed by the powers that be against actually noticing patterns, which is, the very foundation of science, is to notice patterns and to have the intelligence to notice such patterns. It's called inductive science, folks. The inductive approach, putting two and two together and noticing patterns. But people have been so trained not to notice the obvious, so brainwashed to not notice the obvious in order to keep these 6 satanic powers that be in place. And so this is what we get. We get a sky that is just completely scarred up, 24/7, 365 days a year. Nobody notices, nobody cares. Everybody thinks the government is doing their bidding. They still believe in the Disney fiction of living in a democracy. They still think their government is on the side of good, bringing democracy to the rest of the world, using bombs and various other nefarious means like white phosphorus. People are living in a complete Disneyland, and where do they take their kids for vacation? Of course, they take them to Disneyland. What better place for an indoctrinated parent to take their indoctrinated children to than to take them to the heart of the fiction? And this is what we get. Those of us who watch the skies, who have the courage to actually pay attention, and who have the courage further to actually speak out about it, know that this audacious, great plume of heavy metal nanoparticulates is not going to do what moisture does, and to dissipate and evaporate and return back into the atmosphere. Of course, it's just going to spread out, just as all these other lines that we can see. This line here that we're looking at is going to very shortly become what this line is, and that line is going to become what this is. A just spread out mess of aerosols, toxic heavy metal aerosols that are just strewn everywhere in our skies. Here's another plane flying to the left of the roof, somewhere around the middle of the screen. I can't really see because the sun's shining on the this side of the iPhone. Here's another plane flying towards the center of the screen there. It's just non-stop. And this is our lot, apparently. This is our lot. We won't ever see those inspiring, heart-warming blue sky days. We won't ever have those inspiring, heart-warming blue sky evenings where we can sit outside and enjoy a meal with our families and our friends and loved ones. No, we just get this dimmed worlds where everything is darkened, scarcely enough light to cast a shadow oftentimes. In fact, oftentimes there is absolutely no shadow. And this is the world that I guess we'll all be inhabiting for the rest of our lives, and that we will bequeath to our children. Again, the poor things never knowing anything other than what we have bequeathed to them in our cowardiceness. This is what they will just expect. This is what they will assume is normal. And it's only going to get worse. If we believe the pseudo-scientific papers that are coming out, that the problem with SRM once started, because they always act as if it hasn't yet been implemented, part of the lie. But a key part of SRM is that they'll always have to spray more and more. They can never stop because they are destroying the ozone layer. So if anything, it's just going to get worse and worse, folks, and there'll be scarcely any daylight, which already is markedly reduced. It's amazing that nature is somehow continuing to keep going, at least in Europe. At least, the telltale signs of things still coming to blossom. I don't know how long that's going to last. It's remarkable to me, given the massive reduction in sunlight, that nature is still resisting, still doing its darndest to do what it's meant to do. The incredible, unspeakable intelligence of nature continues to do what it can do to recover and to continue to grow and to sustain life on this planet. But for how long? And one thing we can be certain of, this solar radiation management program, so-called, is not for our benefit. That we can be certain of. But of course the brainwashed masses only think that the government is capable of doing those things which are in fact good for us, that they are our great big brother, our big benefactor. So they somehow, even if they were to allow this into their brainwashed minds, they would still think that this is somehow to benefit them. And yet, somehow they still maintain this this complete fiction that they're living in a democratic world, living in democratic countries. Hello folks, this post-apocalyptic looking scene that you're seeing is actually beautiful Leicestershire. It's still Thursday, the 5th of May 2016, and I just want to show you the effect of the spraying that we were seeing earlier in the day. But you can see that an incredible pall has just been cast upon the whole of the land. You know, it should be a blue sky day. There's actually no clouds. Everything that you're seeing here is just aerosols, but non-stop. They've been flying non-stop as every day. And yeah, I'm not planning this, folks. You just step out and then there's, you know, 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 planes flying at any given time. There is one that should be somewhere near the center of the screen right now. If you follow the other line that it's heading towards, flying in parallel with, you can see that that is way off in the distance with another plane. What I really want to show you is just how white this is, just how chock-a-block is the entire sky with aerosols. We've just returned from about an hour-long walk, and it's really gruesome. It's at once warm, humid feeling, because these aerosols also trap the heat in and trap the humidity in. But just look, none of this is cloud. None of this is cloud cover. This is just a continuation of the aerosols that have been sprayed over the course of the day, and it just puts it in a pall across all of the land where the light is not right. It's neither bright nor shaded with cloud, because there are no clouds actually, just the aerosols, and a strange backlit scene. And this is what causes the sun, of course, to be that platinum white. It reminds me every time I sort of see this play out, it reminds me of having read The Road back in the end of 2006, early 2007. I think I finished it on New Year's Day, 2007, in fact. And where the author talks about the sun sort of being concealed and not giving a proper light, not giving proper warmth behind it. And it's just what we have. But look at how white the sky, look at how horrible it is. There's no joy, you know, there's no blue sky joy that comes from this. It's just a sickening pall that's been cast over the whole of the planet. You know, some days we have those horrible fake, phony gray clouds that cover the whole of the sky. But this is, the past couple of days, 2 or 3 days, it's just been nothing but aerosols. No clouds whatsoever. Just this. And again, it's easily available for anybody who wants to see the phenomenon for themselves. Just step out, start paying attention to your world. Start paying attention to what it's like outside. There's no proper light. None of that proper light that just fills the heart with good cheer. Just this dimmed, otherworldly, post-apocalyptic sort of light. This plane can't quite make up its mind where it's going to go, going in all sorts of crooked lines. And you can also see parallel lines strewn across there, left to right. But look at this closely. I don't know how apparent it is in the video, but look at it closely. You can see that these are not clouds. They're just aerosols that have just spread out. Interesting little phenomenon here. Don't know if you can see it, but there's a jet flying right through the aerosols. No chemtrails, no contrails, nothing coming out of the back right now. But it'd be interesting to keep your eye on that. I'm not going to do it because I can't really be bothered. But it's flying right in the midst of the pre-existing aerosols that have been laid down, and yet there's no contrail coming out of it. Why? Good question. He's, for now, not put on his spray, or the spray tanks have been emptied, who knows what. But for whatever reason, he's not spraying right now. And I'll put the camera on him again. Can't see the back of the iPhone very well because of the glare of the sun. But I can see another plane flying right through the aerosols that is leaving chemtrails right above the sun right now. But it's horrible to look up because the glare of the sun is so hideously platinum white. But that's it. I just wanted to show you what the end effect is of having the aerosols sprayed all day long, is that we just end up with this ghostly, ghastly sky of just chock-a-block with aerosols, not clouds at all, and yet the brightness is completely dimmed. It's almost as if you're walking in shadow, but there is no shadow because there are no clouds. It's just a horrible post-apocalyptic feeling, very lifeless feeling, lifeless light. Because the sun's having to push its way through all of this reflective material, all of the aerosols, the heavy metal nanoparticulates that are being sprayed out of the aerosol sprays behind the airplane are spraying heavy metals that are designed to reflect back the majority of the sun's light back into space, and so we don't get it. That's the whole point, is that it's reflected back, and so we get this dim light, strange light that oftentimes will create what's called a sundog, because the spectrum of the sun shining through the aerosols creates this sort of rainbow effect, where it'll show a rainbow around the sun at certain times, or often around certain aerosol formations that look somewhat like clouds, except that they have rainbows around them. But you can see just how chock-a-block the sky is with aerosols, and yet the spraying continues. And this horrible, ghastly white glare, this platinum white glare that just hurts the eyes. And so we also don't have the beautiful colors of the natural world. I'll focus on the grass. Yeah, even though I'm focusing on the grass, look at how dimmed and darkened it is. The colors are not coming through because there's no warmth behind the light, as you can see with the sun. Everything's just platinum white. Nothing is showing the full spectrum of color, because much of the spectrum, the natural spectrum of the sun's rays, are being deflected back. So we just get this white, hideous, platinum white glare. Anyways, that's it for now, folks. Just wanted to show you the end results of what we were looking at earlier today. I'll just pan across one more time. Here's a couple of sweet horses, horse and a pony, and a cow, all coexisting together. All for now. Okay, so this is just 30 seconds after turning off my other video, which ran out of space. Brand new, huge plumes flying out of this airplane, and just so that it's not left to the imagination, this great big plume here is the same one that I showed you being laid down just a minute or two ago, and I said that far from being moisture that would disappear, it would become like these plumes over here and just spread out and disperse. And that's exactly, of course, what's happening. After 8 years of watching this day in and day out, you know exactly what's going to happen, there's no question. Unfortunately, people can't spare the 5 minutes to actually go out and pay attention. Instead, they just blindly parrot the lies of the powers that be, parroting what's told to them by their lying Jew-controlled media. And that passes as intelligence in the 21st century. How well you can parrot the Jew-controlled media instead of just stepping outside and paying attention for 5 minutes. It's all it takes is for people to step outside for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. Gosh, could you imagine somebody dedicating a half an hour to truth and paying attention to what happens with these airplanes and, you know, prove to themselves in less than a half an hour that this isn't moisture. Prove to themselves in less than a half an hour that this white scarred mess that we have everywhere every day isn't the result of weather. It's the result of controlled weather, the result of aerosols sprayed into our skies to cover the sun, to make sure that we don't get the life-affirming sunlight, and not only life-affirming but life-enabling sunlight, the light that gives us our vitamin D. Without vitamin D, folks, you have no immune system, and most people are vitamin D deficient. It's not hardly surprising, really, is it, when most of us are not getting any sunshine.